agreement. Otherwise, I don't know of any changes. Okay, do we have any conflicts? Seeing none?
I'd move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Thank you.
Oh, that would probably be good.
I was like, did I miss
We have
something?
a motion and a second for approval of the agenda. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. All right, we need approval of our minutes from December 17th.
So move. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, bills. I've had 5 questions after.
As have I. I've had mine.
Me too.
Okay, I'm going to take a motion for approval.
Move to approve the bills as presented.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the bills. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Miss Brenda, do you have any personnel for us?
I do. I'll start with the coroner, Delaney Matherness. She will be a deputy coroner at $240 per call. This will be effective on January 6th of 2025.
That's what budgeted.
Yes.
Motion approved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, and their general government buildings, Tim Agana, is a step raise going to a foreman grade 3, base pay of $40.43, effective on 12/29/24. Frank Cortez, step raise, going to light equipment operator grade 3, base pay of $31.88, also effective 12/29/24. And Robert Manson, step raise, going to a custodian 2, grade 3, base pay of $24.21, also effective 12/29.
Should we wait and do that in the budget, or is it appropriate right now?
Yep. It is
Appropriate?
Motion approved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of those folks. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And Richard, this was budgeted for 25, so he's.
Yeah, I see that. I thought maybe we should wait till we do that, what, in June?
No, this would be due, they budgeted for January 1st of 2025.
Oh,
Yep.
January 1st. Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Okay, this is the highway department. I have a step raise for Jeff Harper, going to heavy equipment operator grade 3, base pay of $34.16, effective 12/29. Dan Corey Sheeler, this is a step raise for a foreman, grade 3, base pay of $40.43, effective 12/29. And then Krista Rears, there's a classification change. She's going to a county employee 4, grade 1, base pay of $27.48, effective 12/29.
Okay. Motion approved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
This is the sheriff's office. This is a new hire, Quebec, England. Correction officer 1, grade 1, base pay of $24.08, effective on January 6th of 25. And then James Puckett, new hire, correction officer 1, grade 1, base pay of $24.08, effective on 1/6 of 25. And then Blaze Engelhurst is a classification change. He's going from part-time to full-time. A correction officer 2, grade 3, a base pay of $26.61 on 1/1 of 25. And then Brent McNeil, step raise, is going to a deputy 2, grade 2, base pay of $33.33, effective on 1/12 of 25.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Chairman, that's all I have for personnel.
All right. Any travel requests?
I have none.
Any abatements? That's what Brad's here
Brett,
for.
yeah. Yep, that's what I'm here.
Come on,
Sorry, I didn't
Brett.
see you back there, Brett. I was like, I can probably wing it.
You have the floor, man.
This is just an abatement for Balo Ranch LLC. Their house burned down, and that's just for a 2-month abatement on their value. So that'll be 45. The value that's being abated is $45,893 for that fire.
All
This
right.
is 24 paid, 125.
That's correct.
Thank you, Brett.
Motion approved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Further discussion?
Just one question. So it's a
Yep.
2-month abatement, and so then it's off the books, or how does it, why is it a 2-month? Explain that.
2 months because that'll be, that value was sent out
Mhm.
the year before, and so it'll be for the taxes in this January, just for the 2 months that it was gone this year.
Okay.
And then it's off for the next year totally.
They did consider the total loss?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep.
Well, and so if he wanted to rebuild that, he would need a building permit.
Yep.
Okay.
And then if he built it this next year, then we put it on for the next year.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion before us will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty. 2024 unassigned fund balance.
Just working on the unassigned fund balance for '24 and looking at the account status as we're ending the year, and with our department heads being so conservative, I would like to recommend that we assign $750,000 to the Public Safety and Services Center project. And then also Greg's email that you got in reference to
Thank you.
his projects for '24 that did not get completed. I would also recommend to assign $235,000 to information and system technology projects that will be going forward in 2025.
Okay. Did you have anything further you wanted to add to that, Greg, or?
No, sir, other than just, the accounting system project, it makes up the vast majority of that one.
Okay.
And like you said in the email, it just with everything that happened this year, we just never had much time to even think about it. We know
Sure.
we need to do it, and it just, like I said, with the election and the project up on the hill, we just were not able to get to that point where we felt confident enough to be making that big of a change with so much going on.
Well, it's
so.
good that we have some connection.
Yes, and
Okay,
And
what's
of
your
course-
pleasure on it?
go ahead, sorry.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Any further discussion on it? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Thank you very much.
All right. Greg, would you like to visit with us about?
Sure, I'll just take a couple minutes. Thank you for making time. So one of the projects we do have slated for next year and it's budgeted for is an update of our permitting process software. Currently, we're using a in-house developed solution that is long in the tooth and needs to be replaced. What the new solution provides is twofold. One, a public interface, public web interface for people to submit their applications. Currently, we're using our website to do that, but it was never really designed from the get-go to do that. It's basically public forms that they're filled out, but then the office has been trying to use that to also manage the workflow, but it's not really efficient for that. And then on the back end is developing all the necessary forms and things of that nature that have to be provided as part of permitting. It also handles code enforcement, land use, applications and things like that. So it's a more holistic solution and will definitely assist us in improving our processes. I think it will really streamline things for the Planning and Zoning Office. They're doing a lot of extra work, and even some cases, double effort, and this will take care of that. So it'll be a more, single point of entry, holistic, do the whole workflow from point to point, allow for online payment for everything. So it'll be a nice solution for us. So first year cost is $23,000. That's implementation included, and then the subsequent years approximately $15,000. Adjusted each year for inflation, but that's what the cost is. So I'll just be asking for you to allow me to sign the contract and move forward for it.
Okay, any discussion or action?
Oh, question on, and like for building permits, it's used for that? Is it mandatory that they do it online?
No, they can come in.
Very good.
Yeah, it provides the opportunity.
We don't want to do spearfish, no.
Yeah.
Yes, we're looking for a motion to authorize Greg to sign. Please.
I would move to that.
Okay, I'll second it. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
You ready for the sheriff? Good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning, gentlemen. Just a report, other than to say that the Public Services and Safety Center is proceeding along very well. We are at a point now in the process where excitement is starting to build, because it's quite clear that we are within a few weeks of being able to assume responsibility for ownership over the building. We had to pick a date. At some point, we had to be able to determine as an office when we would move over there, and we've selected, based upon information from RCS and other sources, that the first week in March is the week that we're going to anticipate moving our offices over there. I'm confident with that date. It gives us an opportunity to ensure that all of the little nuances that are now part of the project get addressed. It's likely that the building would be available before that, but as I said, we had to pick a date, and I don't want to continue to have a date run down the calendar, so I'm confident with the date that we've selected, and
So no one will be moving in anything until that time?
that's correct. We can't move our office, meaning like the administrative side of things, or the administrative side of patrol functions. We can't move those utilities of our mission without having the jail come along with us. All those people in the sheriff's office augment the exigent needs that can take place without notice up in the jail, and it just wouldn't be safe to move one without the other. So that's the ground that we're standing on, which you could anticipate. We had talked about this sometime before, I believe, Mr. Chairman, that you were the one that had asked me about tours of the facility. We're starting to work through that process to see what it looks like, and I'll be able to make a recommendation to the board either at the next meeting or the one following. We have sent out invitations across the county employees to allow them an opportunity to view it. As I've reported before, we've taken the Deadwood Fire Department through it. We'll be working through some emergency plans with them in the next 2 weeks. We'll do some level of a drill for emergency services to respond up there, and then we'll open that up, open the facility up for tours to all firefighters across the county, so they've got an opportunity to see the building should they ever need to respond. So,
Okay.
that's what I have to report.
Questions or from the board?
So emergency management's moving up there the same week, or would that be a different time?
I would anticipate, Paul and I haven't actually discussed it directly, but I would anticipate they would move up there at the same time that we would.
How long do you, once you say March 1st, how long do you think it'll take to get everybody in place?
Honestly, by the end of the workday, that
okay.
frame, we'll move up that quickly, to include the jail. We'll have the inmates up there in that frame of time, and in very short order after that, we'll be available to accept the housing of other inmates from other jurisdictions and counties. So,
All right.
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
Do you have other counties wanting to come up there with the people?
Periodically that subject comes up. We don't have anybody that I would identify as being waiting in the hallways for us to get it open, but we do, out of necessity, house people from our surrounding counties when the need presents itself. So,
Okay, thank you.
yep.
All right, thank you. All right, John, Mr. May, it's your turn, sir.
I don't have anything, any permits or anything like that that's pressing. I guess the one thing we do have to, I guess we have to look at our master transportation plan. I don't know if we're to a point of accepting that, or if we need any more discussion on that. I guess I would ask if you've all had time to look through it and have gone through it, and what issues you maybe have found, or if you're happy with it. I do want to make sure we all do know that master transportation plan takes in the next several years. So some of the things that they talk about in there, you know, are for the future for sure. And, you know, some of them, they would change as time progresses anyway. If we were to implement some of those, they are also would take into account that the state DOT and some of the cities around us would also be involved in some of those projects that are in that plan. So as far as a look forward, I mean, it kind of points in the direction of what we can expect, but, you know, is it 100%? I don't think anybody expects that. So
We'd still be okay to wait to accept it at the next meeting?
that's absolutely fine with me.
I guess I would like just a little bit more time. Up to the rest of you.
If that's a motion, I'll second it.
I can't make a motion.
I'll make a motion, we wait till next time.
Do
Continue.
we need a motion?
So do you want it on for next Monday, or do you want to, otherwise you're going to be to the last meeting in January, which is, what day is it?
Next Monday will be enough time for me.
28th. Next Monday?
Everyone okay with that? Continue it till next Monday? All right,
That's fine.
thank you.
Did you guys just ask John a couple of questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you agree with everything that was in there, or did you?
I agree with everything in there. Again, like I'm saying, to the point that I think some of the projects that they've pointed out, if we were to go forward with some of those, they would be heavily dependent on state DOT on a couple of those projects, Johnson Lane being one of those. That was an intersection that they strongly felt needed some attention. Well, you know, that intersection is, first of all, in city limits, and second of all, it abuts to a state highway. So that would not be just up to us to go in there and change that intersection or do what they say. It would take, you know, 3 agencies would have to get together on that. So I agree that some of these intersections definitely need some attention and in the future, but I could see those also becoming the jurisdiction, or at least need the cooperation of the other jurisdictions to make that happen. So I would still agree with those, but the logistics of making those happen, I'm not sure how that will work.
All right. That take care of all your business, Tom?
I don't really have anything else for you guys. I did point out, you know, you got my report there, what we did this year. If there's anything that you guys want to ask me about, or if you want to add to, or you have questions about, I would certainly answer those. I would like to point out that our chloride treatment program this year, we actually reduced the amount of chloride we did, but we increased the miles. So I think we used 40,000 less gallons of chloride, but I think we chlorided approximately 20 miles more roads. So I was pretty happy with that. So, and I would be, you know, to point out all the things that we do great and good. My crew does an outstanding job, and I thank them for everything. But I would have to also point out that we do screw up every once in a while, and we did hit a gas line, and I want to make sure you guys are aware that we did that. That was a $12,000 mistake, and we'll try not to let it happen, but I guess sometimes things happen.
Oh, yeah. All right, no, I think your department does a fantastic job on our roads. I think we've got the best roads in the
Well, thank you.
around.
I will pass that along to the crew.
And driving in this morning, I drove on both county and state roads, and the county was definitely easier to drive on this morning than the state road.
All right.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith.
Yeah, I had one question. Top of the page of 10.32 miles of gravel put on. And then just below that, you have 8 miles rebuilt. Is that the total amount you did for?
The total amount, as promised to you guys at last year's bid opening, when the price of gravel came in higher, and we had roughly 21 miles of gravel on our to-do list, and as promised, I reduced that amount. We took it down to that 18 miles so we could keep it under the budgeted amount.
Okay.
So we did reduce what we did in miles of gravel. I don't think any of our roads suffered from doing that, and we'll continue to do that. Unfortunately, when we put together our budget for the following year, we open our bids after that, and we're kind of at the mercy of the bid opening. And then this year it was, we always add what we think it's going to be for, like, for instance, gravel, but in this case, gravel was quite a lot more than what we added.
Yeah.
So luckily, that's one of the items that we can tailor and reduce or make fit the budget. Some items we don't have that luxury, fuel being one. I mean, we're going to use the same amount of fuel no matter what because of snow and things, and unfortunately we can't do that. Utilities is another one. We can't really adjust that, but gravel and chloride and things that we do, those are the things we can, and like I said, as promised, we did reduce that amount to keep it under the budget.
Okay. Well, yeah, I understand that now, but in the past, I remembered something like 20 miles of road gravel.
Roughly
for
21.
10 years. 21?
Correct.
Are you going to be able to make that with just in the cost of the gravel and stuff?
I hope so.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll let you know at budget time, or bid opening time.
Thank you.
Thank you,
John,
guys.
have a good day.
Okay, Mr. Trido, you're next.
On February 13th, I want to close my office to the public at 4:30. That being because we're going to that new lovely Motor V system, and they will be totally taking the old system from us on the 14th. So I need to
It's
get...
the state, right?
The state, yeah, the state. And we need to balance out on the 13th and run all of our reports out of the old system, because when we come in the morning of the 14th, we cannot get into the old system. So Sally and I have to run all the reports from the 1st of February till the 13th for all of our month reports, plus we got to balance out that day and everything. So if I stay open until 5 o'clock and I have somebody come in at 5 o'clock, we're not going to get out of there and stuff. So I would like to just totally close my office, because to balance out for the whole day, it's everything. So I'd close to the public at 4:30. And then on the 14th, we will be open, but we will not be able to do any Motor V at all, because the state is bringing down the old system and bringing up the new system. We have the 17th off, so the 18th we'll go live with the new system.
Okay, Commissioner Flanagan.
Is 4:30 early enough for you to make sure you get stuff done? I mean, I guess overtime is overtime, but...
Well, to balance out, I would have... Yeah, I mean, even a quarter after 4 would be good, because it'll also affect Brenda's office and Amber's office, because you won't be able to do miscellaneous receipts. Or upstairs, they could still do a permit or something, but if they do it by credit card, we'd just have to work it the next day.
I make
How
a
about 4
motion.
o'clock?
I make a motion to allow the treasurer to close the afternoon of February 13th at the time she sees fit to prepare for the changeover in Motor V on the 14th of February.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Do you have any more you want to add there?
Well, and we will put it on our we'll get Brenda to do it on the Facebook page. I will have it on our web page, and we will have it on our doors and stuff to let the public know as much as we can ahead of time.
Okay.
And I just would reiterate what Commissioner Flanagan was alluding to, that I don't know that an extra half hour is going to hurt anything. So I would encourage to think about 4 o'clock instead of 4:30, just to make
Okay.
sure that we have time.
Anytime afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is what
Yeah.
you decided it's going to take longer.
Discretion.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think 4 o'clock on we'd be good with that.
Okay. All of those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Yep. We've been training hard with this new system. Right now, the state has where we have to go in and do these training sessions where you go in and kind of do it by Zoom. And it's over 5 hours each. I'm behind on getting mine done. But before we have to do the training videos before they'll let us in the sandbox next week to get in there and start playing with the new system.
Do you foresee it being a better system?
I don't know. I think it is once we get in there and do it, but it's totally opposite. Like right now, when you guys come into my office, you are my customer. We go in there, we look at you. This new system is, they're saying the vehicle is the customer.
Oh.
And you go look at the vehicles, and then you go from there.
That's a lot of customers. I have a lot of customers.
Yes, you do. You do. You know, so there's going to be some really good advantages for it. My biggest problem I'm having right now is that we share drawers over there. You know, like somebody goes to lunch, I'm out there, and we make it work. We balance it every day. Well, because of everything going on throughout the state and stuff, we are all be given a code now to get in there, and they want us to change. If I go to somebody's station, I'm going to take them down and supposed to put me up, but that's not going to work because we all share the cash. The only way this is going to work for me to do is if I take out the men's bathroom and put 2 more stalls in, and I don't think that's an option financially. So we're still working on how we're going to do the drawers with the state because, like I said, the state doesn't understand. I mean, they all work their own little things down there. They're just strictly motor V. But we have taxes, we have motor V, and we have drawers we have to balance out, and we're constantly sharing with each other. So with them wanting us to sign out and sign back in when all of this, and we're still working with some passcode issues because they said Greg's system wasn't secure enough, I had to laugh because they don't know Greg. So we've got that little thing worked out. But we're training, and hopefully when we get to closer to February, things will be going better and we'll be a little more secure. The 18th is gonna, I hope it's not like 2008 and the system crashed.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that was horrible, but.
All right, well, thank you.
Yep. Okay.
Good luck.
All right, the next 2
Nope.
items are
Taxes.
Oh, all right. Hold on a second.
Sorry, Bob.
Well, no, we have plenty of time.
Yeah. Okay, I sent out the taxes for delinquencies for 23 payable and 24. The total delinquent letters we mailed out was for $3,254.23. By the time I published it in the paper, we were down to just a little less than 700,000. Certificates I issued, here again, I didn't have the tax sale, but the county bid in on, we had $527,493.82. That is up 58% from the year before because we're not selling tax certificates. I ran a report as of last night and this is a total of all delinquencies in the past plus this year. We're sitting at $620,159.55. When I was selling tax certificates, we were down to a couple thousand. Pennington County has started selling their tax certificates again. Prior to the tax certificate sale, they passed a resolution and they were able to reassign any tax certificates that were from last year in the past. And they got rid of most of the ones they had on the books. They had their tax certificate sale in December for the current ones for this year, and they did, I think, like $900,000. I really think we should go back to selling tax certificates, but I suggest we wait until towards the end of March because there's a couple little tweaks they're doing in legislature and get that goal. But some of these, I know I would probably sell almost, probably all, but maybe 15,000 that I had this year. There were some good ones there, and I would have had people come in and buy them.
Okay.
So I will probably come back in March, and to do that, you guys would have to, would we do another resolution for me to sell them again and reassign them?
That takes several meetings then?
No, just
No,
one.
just one.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Because, I mean, it's a chunk of money sitting back out there
Oh,
again,
yeah.
and
think we've gotten some clarification on the implications of that United States Supreme Court case versus Santa Fe County, and kind of see how that's played out statewide, and people are getting comfort again and going ahead with the certificates, again, subject to whatever the legislature may not do,
Yeah.
may or may not do this year, right?
Yeah, they want to clean up some stuff on the county liens to make it's more secure for the county liens, that they don't go away, that if you purchase that property and those county liens are on there, that makes you responsible for it. They're trying to clean that up so it's black and white. And I did talk to Roger Tallahusen at my last conference down in Pierre to get some more direction on that. He does not feel that the county, when I sell tax certificates and a third party picks it up, and once they get deed to it, we're done with it. We should not have to worry about if they follow the law or not. We shouldn't be responsible for that. And the other question I had is, when I do take tax deed to one, and then Brenda and I have the sale of the property, if it doesn't sell, do we have to have it sell again or whatever? Roger says once you have a good sell, and then if it doesn't sell at an auction that you have, we should be able to surplus to like the city of Leader Deadwood, which we've done in the past now, but because of this new law, we can't surplus it to them. We have to have an auction first, and then the highest bidder gets it. If nobody gets it, the county still holds it, and then Roger feels that we should be able to do whatever we want with it after that, to surplus it or something if we need to do it that way.
Okay. Any further questions or discussion?
Isn't it true that, under the, as I understand the statutes, that if I'm a third-party purchaser, that within a year I have to sell the property, and then I have to, any proceeds above and beyond the back taxes, I'm supposed to remit those to the taxpayer, right?
That's just exactly what the county has to do too. If I take property and then we have to sit on it, I usually sit on 180 days just to make sure somebody's not going to come back and try to get it like what the banks do on a repo and stuff. But then Brenda and I have 1 year to sell that property from the date the county takes deed to it. We have to sell it. We have to have an auction. We have to advertise it. We can take all of our costs and any taxes out of it, but if there's any extra money left over, then we have to give it back to the original owner. If we cannot find the owner, then we turn it over to the clerk of courts. Unclaimed property.
What's interesting, I think, is a third-party purchaser is imputed to know the law, and so a lot of folks would buy them, maybe they're going to fix them up and live in them or something, or maybe rent them out. They are compelled, as I understand, under law, to sell it and try to get proceeds to try to recoup, to reimburse the taxpayer.
And Roger and I have talked about this, and I've already had one that they've gotten deed to. I gave them a copy of that law. What they do with it, that's up to them. But I made them aware of the law, and when I do have tax sales, if I go back to doing tax sales, I will announce that at the beginning of the sale, just like I do now on 6-1, that if you are on any boards or do anything, you should not be buying tax certificates. So
6-1-1, one of our favorites.
Yeah.
See Aspen Storage versus Flanagan.
Yes,
Two,
yes,
right?
all the way up the chain. But I will also announce too that new law that if you do get possession of it, you have to follow law and you're supposed to sell it. Most of my tax people are in it for the interest. I mean, there's a few that come in that want to get the property, and they're going to have to work that out on how it works out.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you guys have a good day.
All right, our next two items, we're in a little holding pattern for a few more minutes.
That's okay. We could do.
There's stated public hearings, those stated times, we've got to stick to them. If you remember back in the day when I jumped ahead, it didn't go well.
I do remember. You keep punching yourself.
Yeah.
It's over now. Let it
It really wasn't that big of a deal.
I don't know, I'm kind of stuck on it.
Yeah, Chris is hung up on it. Order, and we'll have items from the commissioners. Okay, well, come back to order, and we'll jump down to the end of our agenda, and we're going to take items from the commissioners. Is there any of the commissioners that have anything to add to our meeting today? Anything on your mind? Mr. Jennings.
A couple of things, Mr. Commissioner, or Mr. Chairman. Just as I was reading through the master transportation plan, I was reminded that we took a tour of some Forest Service roads that the county does maintenance on, at least snow removal. We were kind of waiting for the transportation plan study to act on those, but I think it's appropriate this time that we ask Superintendent Bay to get us a proposal for maintenance changes that he would see, that he would want to recommend.
I think that's a good idea, and we can resume and on to taking care of some of those issues for her next month. Bruce?
I don't know if it bears exactly on that, but I know that John has been meeting with the Forest Service. I've attended one or two of the meetings, and they are working on, I think it's a Schedule A or Schedule B to clarify role responsibilities for maintenance. And so I don't know if there's a chicken or the egg proposition with that or not, but that process is not done yet. I think we're probably getting closer to having that done. So you might hear that as part of the discussion.
Right. And I think that was, so maintenance is separate from snow removal. And so, yeah, but you're right. Those things do go together, and they are working towards that. But I've also been in discussions with the Forest Service about special use permits for those landowners that would need to do their own snow removal if the county discontinued it. So it's a multi-piece puzzle.
Okay.
So it's not something that we would work to get done immediately, but we need to get started on it so we can give everybody time to get all this worked out and give the landowners an opportunity to address their needs also.
Okay.
And another thing on that,
Yes.
similar, also in the master transportation study, they recommended a UTV OHV ordinance. I took a scan at that ordinance. It didn't look to me like there was anything in there that we don't already do, but I would like the sheriff to take a look at that and see if there's aspects of that we could pass an ordinance that would help us with OHV travel.
All right. Sounds good. We do need to get a handle on that. Anything else, gentlemen? Commissioner Sleep?
Yeah, I was concerned about one thing, and I probably brought it up before, but the city has run their bike path over in the lower valley on the right-hand side of the road, and then they switched it before they got to the Highway 14 and went on the other side of the road, and then they went a little ways and switched back over again to the
East side of the road.
east side of the road, and I remember talking about their bike paths, and that's a truck route on there, and there's stop signs there, all right, but it was for the trucks to be able to keep going and not have to stop because somebody got killed in Main Street in town, and we reverted the trucks at exit 8. And I'm disappointed in them putting their bike path in there.
Yeah, we did get forced to build the McGuigan Road for the trucks to get them to the sawmill back and forth. But they finished their pathway, so there's not much we can do about this time. Brandon?
We approved that pathway in the place that it is about 3 summers ago. We voted on it and approved it. This board did.
I didn't remember that. Yeah, we did. Well, they got the same bike path on top of the hill there now, and it goes over into that
I've
development.
seen it a bunch of times. Yeah. They were going to try to put it on the other side, but there were some issues, I think, with the parking in front of Donarski that they never should have had. But
That's
they
right.
do.
That's right.
And so they brought it, because initially they had that, and then they brought it back, and we approved that change to put it
Okay.
on that other side. But
Okay.
that was, it's been at least 2 years now.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah, but the general public does have to stop when they're on those paths and allow the trucks to go.
Yep.
Okay, anything further?
There's a stop signs there where they have to stop,
Yeah.
but people walking or riding a bike don't always exercise that authority that they have to stop.
They don't. At Terry Peak, they call that, they call it idiot reduction policy. If you ski in the areas that you're not supposed to, eventually those people don't ski there anymore.
Oh.
For one reason or another. Either they're incapable or, well, for one reason or another.
Uh-huh.
They're not around or they're not physically able to do it anymore.
Mhm.
I hate to say that way, but at some point, Darwin's theory comes into play.
Okay, anything further from the commissioners? Okay. Seeing none, we'll wait till 9:15 for our next public hearing.
Recess.
Entertain a motion for us to do so.
Also move.
Sorry.
Also move.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to recess as county commissioners and come to order as Board of Adjustment. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. So we are now the Board of Adjustment, and this will be a public hearing, and it's on CUP 469-24. Mr. Schultes is with us today. Bruce, we'll let you get started. I think we're right on time now.
Okay, and I see Amber's online, so I'll refer to her too if need be, but I'll get started. As a reminder, so now you're at Board of Adjustment, there is a different standard for approving, when you're acting as Board of Adjustment, a CUP versus an administrative approval or a variance. So you're going to hear me say a couple different things. So even though you're going to be Board of Adjustment for the next two items, for the conditional use permit, to approve that requires only a simple majority, and that's SDCL 11-2-17.3. So in order to affirm it, it has to be a majority vote of those present and voting. To distinguish that, if I can, from what's on at 9:30, which is a variance, that's the 2/3 majority that you've heard me talk about, and that's SDCL 11-2-59. And I put out a sheet today with the criteria again, just to remind you of what's required to approve a variance as well, but that's the next matter. And that's online. And so I'll start with the present matter. I think Mr. Schultes is here. He has a present CUP that would allow him to do 4 long-term rentals of 4 campers. And he's looking to substitute those 4 campers in total and replace them with 6 small cabins. It was presented at the last Planning and Zoning meeting at a public hearing. You can see that the Planning and Zoning Board did recommend to approve the CUP exchanging the 4 sites for the 6 permanent cabins, limiting them to a size not to exceed 450 square feet. And if you give me 1 second here, I'm going to put up the drawing and you can defer to Mr. Schultes as need be, but I think that the plan would be to put the cabins basically around the edge of the property, the south side, the east side, and then the north side. Is that fair?
Yes.
And you can see the conditions too. I think there were talk about that he's going to have a septic system that's engineered by an engineered septic system and so forth. With that, without any questions, I would defer to Mr. Schultes and or the public hearing.
Did you want to add anything to that prior to me public comment?
When we talked last time about the 450 square feet, like Jimmy Matson brought it to my attention. He said, well, does that count the loft? And I was like, well, I don't know. So I was hoping I could build up to 450 square feet and then have half of that be a loft or something to make it a 2-bed kind of cabin, you know?
Go back to the other screen in case we got somebody. Can you answer that, Bruce?
I don't think that point was necessarily discussed, but my impression, and I would defer to either Rick or Commissioner Jennings as well, is that the 450 feet was to be the square, sort of the footprint of the building.
Exactly.
But I can't say that for certain, so
That's
if
what I
that
assumed,
is in
too.
fact the case, then the loft portion of it would be immaterial under that theory.
Okay. All right. At this time, we will open it up for the public, online or in the room. And at this time, if you care to speak for or against this, I would ask that you stand and please state your name and address for the record. Is there anyone in the room with us here that would like to speak for or against this? Okay, seeing none, how about online? Okay. One more time, anyone in the room or online that would like to speak for or against? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and offer to the board for their consideration or action.
And I do think we need to clarify item 21 on the conditions that it's a 450 square foot footprint.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because, the question then becomes, if we do a loft, there's additional beds, which a septic system is going to have to be designed for the number of beds, and so that takes that into account. So it doesn't necessarily change anything else. But
Exactly.
So what's your proposed change, Commissioner Flanagan?
I would add somewhere on there that these are not to be permanent structures that will not be affixed to the ground, they will not be on a permanent foundation, that they are designed to be movable cabins, to be
Agreed.
easily replaced and moved
Built on
at such
skids.
time as they may not be utilized anymore.
So add that as item 22.
That would work if one added as a condition.
Yeah.
I'm glad to know that. I was gonna ask if the cabins can be permanent, but the trailers
That's
don't
what-
have to be.
That's what my concern is that
Yeah,
if they're on gravel or on a pad, that's one thing, but if
Mhm.
you put them where they're permanently attached, it's another.
So we've added 22 as done on permanent foundations. On 21, we've added at the end of 450 square foot, comma, footprint.
Okay. Everyone's comfortable with the changes? Oh, did I put a motion?
Move to approve as amended.
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval as amended with those two changes on those two conditions. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And it appears we are in a holding pattern again. We can stay in this Board of Adjustment, correct?
Yes,
Okay, well, we'll take a short recess again until 9:30.
I'll mute the recording then until you start up. I'll leave the camera.
30, we are still Board of Adjustment. And this is public hearing for variance number 213, Gold Standard Cabinetry, Lyanna Simmons. Brenda, or Bruce.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, and the Shimmicks are here to answer any questions you might have. Again, as a reminder, this requires a 2/3 majority in those findings that I passed out earlier to approve. Referencing Amber's staff report, you can see that this, like the earlier one, is a CUP that's been approved. When first approved, the location of the 12 by 20 coffee building was set to be next to the building that's on site. I'm going to put the picture up here. You can kind of see, I think that's the present location of it, is that right? And so, but that has proved to be inconvenient for them for a number of reasons. And so I think the proposal is to move the building down in the sort of middle of the page, lower left-hand part of the parking lot where these two vehicles are located, would be to place the vehicle there. So they're asking you for permission to relocate it. It was considered by planning and zoning made a motion, as they typically do, to deny the variance. And just to be clear, the variance would be a 16.8 foot variance to the 25-foot setback. And the reason cited was that there was no exceptional circumstance or undue hardship present. And with that, I would defer to somebody else.
K is the variance would be between them and the neighbors?
No, from the property line, but right by the highway there. This is in the vicinity of like Central City down here.
Okay.
Is that fair?
No, it's out at General Service Garage out past Louise.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. Yep.
Okay, did you folks are here that are for this, did you want to add anything before I turn it over to the public comment?
So I just,
Tell us your name, man.
Liliana Shimmick,
Okay.
and I just don't really understand like why we couldn't, like it's literally, we're talking like a couple feet. And so, and there's cars parked there already for like, they've been there since like years. And so I just don't really understand why we couldn't put it like where those cars are.
Well, because of the rules of the setbacks. All right. At this time, we will offer to the public in the room or online for comment. We would ask that you would please stand and state your name and your address for the record. Is there anyone in the room that would like to speak for or against this?
Mike Shimmick, 21120 Gilded Mountain Road. Where it's at right now, it's kind of tucked up by Zach's shop, and so it's getting blocked by edge a little bit, so you're just not getting the exposure that she needs. to get the coffee sales. I mean, we can do flags and all that stuff, but it just seems like if we can get it closer to the highway, we can get more exposure and she can get more business. And also, I talked with Zach, and he would actually rather have it there as well for his business. It'd just be a lot better situation for everybody that's involved.
Okay. Anyone else in the room? How about online? Is there anyone online that would like to speak for or against this?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead, Bruce.
So, as I recall in that area, there aren't any sort of designated entry and exit points, is that right? It just sort of, you just pull off on the highway or wherever?
So you can pull off like on the edge side, and then you can go all the way through, all the way down to the very last house.
Edge Sports.
Yeah, right.
As a business.
And so, to that point, if the structure, it's a 12 by 20 structure, is put there in that location that was shown in the picture, will that affect sight lines? I mean, so I was trying to make the point, is it by an entry or exit points, or it would impede somebody's sight line either coming or going, or no?
No, it's set back far enough away from the actual turn in that it wouldn't affect any line of sight. And it's off. I mean, there you can see those two big trees there. So I mean, there's kind of already some funny business there already.
Okay. Anyone else in the body of the room or online that would like to speak for or against this? Last call. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and offer to the board for just further discussion or action.
I guess I'll make comment. I don't know. There's a couple of things here where I have, I guess, opinions, and I don't really know what takes precedence. There is nothing on there that it's like we'd like to move it to get more exposure. That's not grounds to grant a variance. It is a temporary structure. It's, by its nature, is just kind of that way. Almost like if you put a concession trailer park there instead of those vehicles. But I can't resolve the two. It'd almost be like granting a variance to a commercial development plan, because it's this, it's a setback on commercial property, and I'm just not sure how I would weigh that compared to a regular variance request.
Yeah, it's not really a hardship.
And that's the problem with the standard variance request like this. If I apply all the stuff I normally would, I would absolutely say no. But it's kind of not the same. But I don't know how you would. I don't know how I'd apply it another way, with the way it's set up now.
You two gentlemen that are on planning and zoning, can you help us with any of the discussion that possibly happened there?
Go ahead.
Well, moving it where they want to put it by these trees makes sense. It's common sense. And there are already cars there anyway, so I can see their thought process of wanting it. It does not meet the need for a variance as far as planning and zoning is concerned. It doesn't meet the ordinance for that. It's unique because the road is not right up on, or the shoulder road is not right up on their property line. It is away from it, and I'm not seeing how far, but it's
and there's trees there.
It's a ways away. There's trees there. Where they have it now gets in the way of the flow of the traffic going through that area, and creates a hazard both for the business that's there, not theirs, but the cabinet business and other people going through. So what they want to do is make sense, whether we want to follow the ordinance or not.
And that's what it came down to for me. We try to be consistent in these decisions and base them upon our laws and rules that we follow, the ordinances, and it just doesn't meet the ordinance of an undue hardship. And so that's why I made the motion to deny it, and I'll probably be on that same wavelength today.
Commissioner Flanagan.
Is it on skids or is it on wheels?
Skids.
You say I'm just going back to it's not permanent, but yeah, I mean, I've got like a concession trailer, and if I park that somewhere like that, I don't think anybody'd say 2 words, because it's a trailer. But these aren't a lot different, they're harder to move, but they're all self-contained for the most part. You run power to them like you would in a generator, or however you're doing that.
Did I understand you right, Commissioner Tisdale, that on your comments that some of the traffic flow within is impeded by where it's at now, where it wouldn't, if they moved it, it would be...
That's what I understood. That's when I understood when we got the presentation. And Amber was able to explain it much better, but she probably can't talk today. But
Bruce?
Of course, I don't get to make a decision, obviously. The part that I look at and struggle with is the fact that there are 2 parking spots there. And so you could have any number of different things parked there sort of legally as opposed to this. Makes sense? And, that's kind of what I struggle with. It doesn't really meet the ordinance necessarily, but is it considered to be parking spots?
put wheels underneath it, it'd be okay.
That's what I said,
They
if I
wouldn't be here.
put my concession trailer there, it wouldn't even flinch. And if we're considering it a variance to the development plan for the setbacks, I'd probably have a lot easier time with it too.
Maybe a shorter review, 6-month, approve it with a 6-month review.
See, and again, that would really be a variance to development plan. I'm not sure where we are with this. I mean, that's what my thought was too, is you can kind of say, okay, and for 6, if it ends up being there's issues with traffic, the neighbor, or anything like that, then you have to move it, but I don't know how with this particular request, I don't know how we go there.
I think, if I may, so I think what Commissioner Flanagan is saying, so this is commercial property sort of being subleased, it sounds like, and so typically you would have the owner of the property come in and do a development plan, right, and talk about parking and structures and so forth. So I think your dilemma is here, is this part of the amendment to the CUP, or should it be presented? So it's not really necessarily a variance so much as it would be an amendment to a development plan. They probably don't even have a development plan because it's probably a grandfathered use, I don't know. But I'm just to kind of rephrase that for everybody.
I didn't get that clear.
So by having the owner of the property come in, you basically understand that he's supporting the change?
I think that's what Commissioner Flanagan is saying.
So if this would be continued and have him come in with get a letter from him supporting it, would that satisfy everybody or not?
Well, that's again, we're considering a standard variance. And I think under the terms of a standard variance, I don't think I can support it. But a variance to the setbacks of a commercial development plan for a temporary structure where it is, I think would make a lot more sense in my mind for what's going on there. And we're asking the same question, but 2 different processes.
Correct.
We had the discussion before.
And perhaps a way to look at it too is that maybe consideration is that this is sort of, because there are existing parking spots, that it's somehow grandfathered in as parking spots, so it's really not a variance. Of course, then that there have to be, I guess, you have to be very clear that that building is movable and is consistent with being a vehicle. So again, you're saying it's not a variance, but it's just sort of a grandfathered parking spot, and you can park things there as long as DOT or whoever doesn't. It's not a safety issue for people pulling in and out. Another way to look at it. I don't know if that's the right way, but one way to look at it.
Okay. Further discussion or action?
Rick, you want to wait till next week to see if they had a different setup?
I don't know if that would satisfy, would work or not.
I think we have to answer this question.
Or put wheels under it before the next meeting.
I think it's a separate deal.
If we were to deny the variance, the owners could still come in with a development plan.
I think, I think so. I mean, and I'm just going to speak somewhat out of turn here, and I apologize for this, but if I were to park a 10 by 20 steel container on that spot and throw junk in it, auto parts or whatever in there, I'm not sure anybody would say that. But you also don't have traffic going by it, regularly as a usage that way. And again, because it's commercial use on commercial property, I think in my mind it makes a lot more sense to do it as a variance to the setbacks on a commercial development plan than it does to a regular construction variance like we would normally, as a building permit. I mean, that's really a variance is a denial to a building permit, and I'm not sure that they need a building permit. They don't need a building permit to do what they're doing, but they need permission under the development plan to do it.
Can I ask one more question?
Go ahead.
The drive-up part, if you relocate it where you want it to, is the drive-up part on the highway side or on the internal side of the building?
Internal side.
I didn't know if that was clear. So that seems more safe than having people just roll in and off the highway, I guess. All right.
Hey Bruce, this is Amber.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yep.
Talk here a little bit. So I understand what I'm hearing from you guys, but ultimately when I look at the rules of a development plan, the issue is the building permit. We are issuing a building permit for a structure like this because she has water and everything to it. So I ultimately, even with a development plan, I'm still going to have to issue a building permit on it, and that's why they can't meet the setback. So I understand where you're going with it, but I don't think a development plan or a variance, it's the same thing. You're still going to be deciding the same question because they need a variance to put it where they want to put it.
Okay, I agree, we're answering the same question, but we're asking, there's two different, in my mind, there's two different criteria for it. And the reason is with a commercial use on commercial property, this makes some sense to me. As a standard variance question, it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't meet any of those requirements.
So if I'm just trying, could it be deemed to be a non-variance and not need to have a development plan because it is existing parking? I'm just trying to reframe it in some way.
I don't see that a standard variance request that meets that criteria. I also can't vote for it the way it is. As a variance to a commercial use in that area for a temporary structure in the place that they're doing, that makes more sense to me. But I also think there's different criteria. That one doesn't, I don't think you need to ask, is there a hardship? I think this makes sense. Does it impede anything? I think those are different questions. I don't, in my mind, a variance is not a variance in that case. It's a variance to the rules, but it's not a variance to the, go ahead.
Yeah, so with that then, I want to remind you guys did approve a development plan on this property for this building to be placed there. It was just the location you did not approve where it is. You approved it where it sits. That's how you approved that.
Right, so we need an amendment to the development plan that would have a variance to that front setback.
Right, but you guys already denied that. When they first got this, they wanted to put it out further, and you told them no, it needed to go back so that they could meet the setback. That's what you guys had already done when this first started a couple years ago. So they went ahead and did it because they didn't want to deal with the variance process. Then, once it's been sitting there for, a season, they found that it does not work in that location. So you guys already, they already came in and did that whole commercial development plan process a few years ago. Zach came before you guys. So you've already done that process, and at that time, you had to move it back to meet the setback. That's why it sits where it sits.
Okay. What do you gentlemen want to do? I cannot make a motion.
Would there be any reason to or any harm to wait until next month and give everybody time to think about it?
Well, I think everybody's kind of made their mind up the way it's been presented.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If there is going to be a motion to deny, I would ask that to the extent that you can, would incorporate SDCL 11-2-53, and those are state law requirements that I handed out. That's not county rules, that's what state law says for the variance, so the commissioners are bound by that to make those findings as part of your motion.
Chairman, I'll move to deny the variance number 213 based on 11-2-53 and the rules that we need to comply with.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion.
Sometimes it's not what we want to do, it's what we have to do on these things. And where we understand what your situation is, and sometimes it makes sense, but we're still bound by the laws.
Bruce.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Jennings, is it fair to say that granting the variance wouldn't necessarily be contrary to public interest? However, you're not finding that there are special conditions that exist and/or that denial does not create a peculiar or exceptional practical difficulty or an exceptional and undue hardship.
I'm sorry, I thought I said that out loud. I must have said that in my mind.
I thought that's what I heard. Thank you. Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion to deny will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Sorry, folks.
Yeah.
All right, there's our next item is in reference to the referendum petitions, zoning ordinance 24-05, conditional permits and board of action. We've already had the executive session that was planned for that. This is not a public hearing, it's just for the board's discussion and action at this time. Bruce, do you want to start us off on this? I was going to defer to Brenda, I think, to report to...
Just for your information, on December 20th, I received petitions from Charlie Brown. They brought them in, I think it was about 1:12 p.m. Once we got back from the holiday break, I did verify that there is enough qualified electors on the petition. So I am just, I have not certified the petitions as of yet. And to that I will defer to legal counsel Bruce Elka.
Okay, Bruce? Mr. Chairman, if I may, so though there is a sufficient number of qualified electors that have signed the petitions referring ordinance 2024-05 to a vote, there's an outstanding question, and that question remains whether the matter may properly be placed on a ballot pursuant to SDCL Chapter 718A, and then in particular SDCL 7-18A-18.1. So again, 7-18A-18.1. I don't make the numbers, not very easy to say. So as part of background, I know that I helped draft ordinance 2405, and it was on my recommendation that the ordinance was initiated. As I have said at a number of times at these public meetings, the purpose for the amendment, why it was initiated, was to bring the existing ordinance into compliance with state law, and thereby implementing a plan already put in place by the state legislature. So we're following state law, and it also was done to avoid legal challenges to the existing procedure, the then existing procedure. So of course we know on November 26th, as Brenda referenced, I think the County Commission passed ordinance 2405, and now there's an attempt to refer that decision to a vote. And so I look at very carefully at SDCL 7-18A-1 or 15.1 in particular, and it draws a distinction between legislative and administrative decisions by the County Commission. Again, at 7-18A-15.1, and I'm going to read that in pertinent part. It says that no administrative decision of a governing body is subject to the referendum process. I'm going to say that again. So no administrative decision of a governing body is subject to the referendum process. The statute, so this is state law, again, this is not county ordinance, defines what an administrative decision is. And it goes on to say, and I'm quoting, an administrative decision is one that merely puts into execution a plan already adopted by the legislature. And so, again, along with what I've said consistently, that the ordinance was initiated to comply with state law. And so it is my legal opinion that the adoption of ordinance 2405 by the County Commission was in fact an administrative decision, again, made to bring the ordinance into compliance with state law, thereby implementing a plan already put in place by the state legislature. And again, also to avoid legal challenges to the existing procedure. So as the decision to approve 2405 was administrative in nature pursuant to the statute I referenced, the amendment is not subject to referendum because the action was necessary for state law compliance. And as a result, it is my legal opinion that the auditor does not have the authority to certify the measure for placement on the ballot, and I would recommend against that. That's my legal advice to her. Okay. And I don't know if the board would make a motion. I tried to summarize what I think I understood your decision-making process was back in November 26th of this year to be exact, concerning your rationale for approving the ordinance change? Was it consistent with what I've represented? In other words, to bring it into compliance with state law to avoid legal challenges, et cetera. If you want to ratify that, you can, or say something different, as the case may be.
I will make a motion to that effect. On November 26, 2024, the Lawrence County Commission's approval of the amendment to the zoning ordinance as reflected in Ordinance 24-05 was necessary to bring the ordinance into compliance with state law. The amendment is not subject to referendum because of action was necessary for state law compliance, and the decision to name the Board of Adjustment as the approving authority for conditional use permits was an administrative decision which put into effect a comprehensive zoning scheme already set forth by the legislature. Therefore, the Lawrence County Commission recommends that the measure not be placed on the ballot.
Okay, that's your motion.
That's my motion.
Second.
Well, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, of course, I thought about this a lot, and as I often do, I had to write it down on a piece of paper just to organize my thoughts. So, the popular thing to do is not always the right thing to do, nor is the right thing always popular. As commissioners, we took an oath in part to uphold the laws of the state. Unfortunately, occasionally those laws are interpreted differently by those involved. I did not take this decision lightly, and I doubt that any of us sitting up here did. I studied the statutes, read interpretations of the laws, and how the courts ruled upon them. I tried to be objective and allow the statutes to direct my decision. I believe the statutes are directing the county's Board of Adjustment to issue conditional use permits. It is not clearly written in one state statute to that effect, but when reading several statutes together, along with the court's interpretation of them, and being objective, I reached this decision that this ordinance was necessary for the county to comply with state law. I know what it takes to get signatures on a petition. I also know that this decision is an administrative decision and not a legislative one. Administrative decisions are not referable, they are appealable. Even though it pains me to do so, it is certainly not the popular thing to do. It is the right thing to deny these petitions based on our responsibility to follow state law.
Okay, further discussion? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion before us to deny the petitions will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Chris.
So unfortunately, unlike an initiated measure where the county commission decides what the next course of action is, in the case of a referendum petition, I don't know that state law really contemplates the application of SBCL 718A-15.1, meaning that that matter is not referable. So it doesn't give us precise guidance, but I think the plan would be for the auditor to take this matter under consideration. She's heard the recommendation of legal counsel. She's heard the recommendation of the county commissioners, and she probably has 5 days to issue her opinion about what she plans to do next. But again, it's my strong recommendation that she not do that, because I take responsibility for that.
Okay, Brenda, would you like to speak at this time?
Or you want to take your time?
Yeah, I will, like I said, I understand my stance and what I need to do. I am not a lawyer, and so I have to take the advice of legal counsel and of the Board of County Commissioners. I will take that advisement, and I will provide the letter to Charlie Brown and probably Kristen Wing. They were the ones that Kristen sponsored, but she was ill on the day that they brought the petitions in, so I will send a certified letter to both of them within either this afternoon or on Thursday morning.
So you're making your decision now, and you're going to ratify with the letters, or you're going to make your decision later?
I will make my decision later.
Okay.
I think you have up to 5 days to decide. This puts, Mr. Chairman, obviously this puts Brenda in a horrible position to have to sort of adjudicate this, but I think that's the way it is.
Okay. The next item we have is the last thing for the day is items to speak to any issues. We certainly can't take any action on anything, but we can hear from you. And that's either online or in the room. And And I would ask that if you do, please limit your comments to about 3 minutes per person. And when you do address us, please stand and state your name and address for the record. Is there anyone in the body of the room that would like to speak for public comment? Sir?
Yeah, I'm Mark Maury. I live in Spearfish. I'm here.
Your address, Mark.
125 North 7th Street.
Thank you.
Well, I was among those who circulated the petition. We don't like your ordinance. We can see that, it's not going to be effective as far as changing anything. But I think that the commission has kind of gotten themselves in a pickle with this, with the way that things have been being conducted, and it goes back a ways. I have to congratulate you that you didn't bring Sarah Frankenstein in here today to make your decision, as you have when petitions were brought forward other times. So it seems the commission is not truly representative of many of the citizens of Lawrence County. You seem to be kind of one-dimensional in the way that you make decisions. Eric, you kind of gave a rundown of how you reached this decision, but ultimately it's not very satisfying. We're basically I'm feeling as though the commission is now dictating. Not representing us, but dictating to us how you're going to continue, how you'll issue conditional use permits. You're all on the board of action. It doesn't look very good. And I guess if things don't look good to some of your constituents, but you're going to keep winning elections in the county, then it might seem like there's not much to what I'm saying. It might just seem like I'm blowing hot air. But I think you're in a pickle, because I think you're going to keep seeing petitions coming, whether you bat them down or not. One thing that we do have is the right to petition. Now, just because we have the right to petition doesn't mean that you have to do what the petition says, or that you even have to have an election. That's clear as a bell. We get that. But in the meantime, because of past actions, bringing in specialists, not really, I think, hearing or really studying some of these things, like the election. We want paper ballots. And I know you want to bat that down. And sometimes it gets pretty snarky. But since 2020, for sure, things have been going on. You must be aware of them. And if you're not ready to respond rather than react, and kind of react to, as I said, one-dimensional, kind of the cyclops. We got one dictator or something. Somebody's dictating here, it feels like, and who's really arguing? Where's the discourse? Because when you don't work this stuff out among one another, then we just feel like you're just one voice. That probably feels good to you, but it doesn't make us feel represented. Now,
Okay, your 3 minutes are up, sir.
all right.
We wanted
Thank you for listening.
hand counting.
Pardon?
We wanted hand counting, is what he was talking about.
Right. Okay. Anyone else in the room like to speak?
How are you guys today? Mark Rizzi, 11457 Brownsville Road.
Okay.
And me, just like you, Mr. Jennings, I got to write things down. I think everybody can agree with nobody has the right to put anything on somebody else's property without their permission. We all agree with that?
Sir, we're here just to listen to you.
All
We're not
well,
going to start a discussion.
That's a fact. I don't have that right. You guys don't have that right. Nobody has that right. H&S Sand and Gravel has been putting dust contaminated with silica on our property for years. I have been trying to stop it. I've sent picture after picture after picture. I just sent Jeff pictures of our snow covered in silica dust again. Our brown snow. And I sent it to Jeff. Did you guys see it?
Jeff just got back in the office today. I'll get it.
Okay. I sent that. After sending these pictures and all the documentation that I've sent you that is backed up by scientific facts, with a 6.2 mile an hour wind breeze, that silicon dust can travel for 4.5 miles. With a 12.4 mile an hour breeze, it can travel 9 miles. Now, the dust you can see isn't the dust that hurts you. It's the dust you can't see that will kill you. It's a carcinogen. It causes cancer. My question to you guys, it's not for just, you can think about it. Have you notified any of the people around that pit that this dust is going in there? Your responsibility as commissioners is to protect the people that you serve. That silica dust is in the air. People are breathing it. Powder House Pass, Inglewood, up and down Brownsville Road, Yellow Creek Road, all the way over into the Terry Peak subdivision, Deer Mountain. It's all getting there. No two ways about it. And I have scientific facts that will back this up. You had a great quote in the paper the other day, and I'm going to read it. I'm always going to support private property rights, but I also feel that we need limitations on property uses so that neighboring landowners are not adversely affected by an individual's land use. Putting their dust on our property or anybody else's property in the area is adversely affecting their land, period. My request to you, and you guys can mow it over or whatever, is to shut them down until they can keep their dust to themselves on their own property.
Okay, sir, your time's up. Thank you. Anyone else in the room that'd like to? Yes, ma'am.
Paula Mowry, 125 North 7th Street in Spearfish. So I heard you guys talking, particularly Mr. Auka, talking about the state law, and I'm not sure if you mentioned county law as you make your decisions. What I would like to hear is that you're looking at the Constitution, because I think we all know that state law, county laws are not always constitutional. So, and I'm guessing that as public servants, maybe you took an oath to our Constitution. So I would just like to see more. I would like to hear that you're looking at our Constitution and not just the state law.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Chairman, it was
Yes,
enrolled
Chris.
that during the course of the meeting, you received an email from Victoria Reed. I printed that off and made sure that each had a copy of that. She's expressing her, I think, concern about 2404.
Okay, yeah, we have that copy. All right, anyone else in the body of the room that would like to speak? Go ahead. Name and address, please.
Vicki Rizzi, 11457 Brownsville Road.
Okay.
Just in like what my husband has relayed to you people respectfully over the past months, we as neighbors have tried very hard to communicate with H&S Sand and Gravel to alleviate these issues. I was here during the summer. I was having breathing issues. My eyes felt like they had sand in them. It was horrible. I had to stay in our home. I could not go outside because I started having breathing issues and stuff from the dirt and the dust that was just blowing into and on our property. I don't feel as a resident that I should have to be confined to my home because of their lack of controlling their dust. And I hope that you will take this into consideration. I realize when they first opened, there wasn't many homes around there, but it is definitely getting to be a populated area as your county is growing bigger, and I hope that you will seriously take these health issues into consideration.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else in the room? Or online? Is there anyone online that would like to speak today for public comment?
You got a white mic up there.
I think Les won't
It's been on there.
Go ahead. If somebody wants to talk, I guess just go ahead, Mr. Chairman. Fair enough?
Yes. Please state your name and address.
Les, did you want to speak? I see Todd Hakes. Your microphone is on.
Yeah, this is Todd Hakes at 22988 Cedarberry. And I guess what I'd like to say is I think you got to really consider that at some point down the road that the power could change within the commission, meaning that it could be a Democratic commission, and at that point, would you want them to have that much power? That's my main point, is that down the road, 15, 20 years, the power could change. So I think you need to take that into consideration.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else online that would like to speak at this time? Anyone else in the body of the audience that would like to speak? Public comment. Yes, sir.
Kevin Farmer, 11794 Crook City Road. I was just wondering if I could get a copy of what Mr. Alka read today for his argument for not adopting or unadopting the petitions or having them recognized. Could I
They're
get
mine notes, but I'll give you a copy of the statute if you want that. If you want to wait.
Yeah.
I'll give you a copy of the statute.
I'm curious to what state law you keep referring to. So.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll do that. I'll make that.
Anyone else? Yes, sir. Name and address, please.
Charles Brown, Timber Ridge Lane, Whitewood, South Dakota. Several months ago, I guess the initial one of these meetings when you were looking to adopt this ordinance, I remember two of the members sitting at the table recused themselves because of issues that they had. I think your family worked for Kroll, which was one of the primaries in this, and you declared that you intend to making money off of your land with the rock, through mining the rock. But I noticed you didn't recuse yourself today. Is there a good reason that the first recusal was made and not the second? Was it changed?
My son has not worked for Kroll's for over 3 months now, so that's out of the picture. So that's why I'm participating. And this ordinance has nothing to do with one particular item. It covers a broad array of conditional use permits.
It's a pretty significant item, I think, that we're all talking about here, which is gravel pits and their effects on the community. And as far as, your son taking a holiday or whatever in order to, I guess, insulate himself from this very thing, you and your family have still taken probably hundreds of thousands of dollars from Kroll. Right? You've been employed by them for a very long time.
No,
and you are doing something that's...
We're not going to have a discussion.
You said so, but yet
this
you're
is
discussing.
not on the agenda. This is not on the agenda. You can make your comments, but I'm not going to sit here and have false comments against me and my family.
Nobody's making any false comment.
You don't know what you're talking about. So
I'm saying you should be recused from the discussion and not vote. That's what I'm saying. That's my statement.
You're out of order.
Anything? Do you have anything else to say?
No, I have nothing else to say, but I don't think I'm going to be allowed to say it.
No, please. Wants 3 minutes if he wants to.
He still has a minute if you wanted to.
All right. Anyone else? Anyone else online? Okay. Oh, go ahead.
Tom Schmitz.
Please state your name and address, sir.
Yep, my name is Tom Schmitz. My address is 11831 Cuba Road, Deadwood. I came to this a little late. I didn't follow the proceedings of the commission leading up to passing this ordinance. But it seems to me that rather than passing an ordinance which takes away the people's right to petition, an ordinance could have been crafted that would have allowed people to maintain that right to petition instead of having to go and get counsel to go and appeal those decisions. If the intent of y'all was to be transparent and democratic, that in my mind would have been the way to craft the ordinance. And to say that this would all be done to line up with state law seems like a smokescreen to me. That's my comment. Thank you.
Okay. One more time. Anyone else in the body of the room? Any comments? Or online? Okay, at this time I'm going to shut down the public comment, and we are at the end of our agenda, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we're adjourned.
Chairman, just a reminder, your next meeting is next Monday, January 6th. Okay? I'm going to stop the recording now.